This is the new X3, a mountable action camera from Insta360. And for the last 8 days or so here in the mountains of British Columbia, I've been putting it through its paces to see what the new updates look like. How does it perform? What I was most looking forward to testing with this camera is that larger sensor size. Do we get better detail for reframing shots and using them inside of our adventure films? But they also added 2 new shooting modes that honestly I didn't think I was that interested in, but I've been pleasantly surprised with. They've been some of my favorite parts about this camera. We have to rewind a few days to when I first got it. Yo friend, welcome to a beautiful sunny day here in the Fraser Valley. We're enjoying the last few moments of summer here before the rain season officially settles in. I've been spending a lot of time inside editing. There's quite a few videos that I'm very excited to share that I've been spending a lot of time on, especially the Alone video from up north. But I thought, hey, it'd be kind of nice to take a break from editing. So we're gonna head into the local mountains and I wanna take you for an overnight in the Alpine tonight. But first we should address the impossible selfie stick shot. The floating camera that feels like a drone is just following alongside me perfectly. And the beauty of it is that it's actually very simple. It's just a 360 camera mounted to a selfie stick, and I either hold it with me while I'm snowboarding, mount it to an airplane when I'm going on a flight, or really just use it for anything that you do an action camera with. The first thing is that it helps capture those perspective shots of activities as they happen, and this is very helpful for my storytelling. And a 360 camera is actually uniquely helpful here for this, because maybe like me, you've made the mistake of filming with an action camera, and then when you get home and you look at the footage, you realize the angle that you had was maybe pointing at the ground the whole time. So a 360 camera, you can actually change that angle afterwards. But the second thing that it's helpful for is that when you mount it to a selfie stick and you get that impossible floating camera shot, it adds a really nice wow factor in your stories. When Insta360 reaches out and asks if I want to put to test a new X3 camera, the answer is a definite yes. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. This is my first look at the new X3. And first things first, we got to get on a bigger bike. We're going to head out into the mountains on my vintage Enduro. And as much as I love cruising in my Crocs, this footwear seems a little bit more appropriate. Let's get out of here. What a beautiful day for a ride. I find it's one thing to read a spec sheet for a new camera, but it's a whole other thing to actually just grab it and go out and start using it. So I wanted to film a moto sequence because it's actually quite a good stress test on new cameras. First, it's incredibly bumpy. When you mount the camera directly to a bike and ride down a logging road, there's just a ton of jitter introduced into the camera. So I wanted to see how good is the stabilization in kind of this extreme environment. And so I'll try to show a shot here of the before without stabilization, and then show what the automatic stabilization just built into the camera actually looks like and give you a sense of those results. And the second thing I want to test is that when you go through trees on a sunny day, normally the sunspots on the ground can make the footage almost unusable. And that's where overcast days often work best for filming in the forest. But who wants to just film in perfect lighting conditions? I want to go out and try it in some of the more harsh lighting that I'll run into when filming, and that's sun coming through the trees. And from my test shots, the results are actually quite good with the new X3. In fact, leaps and bounds better than the earlier versions. And the reason for that is this new active HDR mode. And just for some context here, the earlier HDR modes in these cameras would only work if the camera was standing still, because it's essentially grabbing 2 exposures. So if you move the camera around, it would introduce a bunch of image artifacts like ghosting. But I went out and shot some test shots with it where I shot the normal shot in just regular 5.7K video mode, and then shot the same perspective again in the HDR mode, the active HDR mode, And my initial results in my testing, I was quite excited about. I actually want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think about the difference between these shots here? I'm going to share some more thoughts once I get home and edit all this footage and take a look at it. You can at any time skip forward to that section. But also, if you want to find out more information about this camera, I've got a link down below in the description, and you can definitely help out the channel by checking out that link. And also, if you end up wanting to ever purchase this camera, that's a great place to do that. And by using those links, you actually help out the channel. So of course, I really appreciate that. Oh man, I am just so pumped to be up here. We're gonna be heading up Lady, I just love this meadow up here, especially in the summertime. It is just so beautiful. Hopefully at this point on the ride up, you're getting a sense of what some of the 360 shots can look like, and you're getting a sense of the image quality of the X3. But they've also done some other changes to this and introduced some other new modes. And one of those modes is a 4K single lens mode. So you can just use one of the lenses and dedicate all the recording bandwidth to that bit rate. And the result, at least in my testing, should be that you get a better quality single lens image for doing stuff like what I'm doing right now, talking to the camera, doing a little vlogging moment, or maybe mounting it on a chest camera shot. So that way if you don't need the full 360 and you don't need to reframe shots, you could just do a forward shooting mode in 4K. I made it up to the ridge line of Lady. It's just this beautiful spine, and I want to do some running shots up and down here with the 360 camera. But it is so good to be up here. This is my backyard. I love that I can hop on the motorbike and in 30 minutes be in the river valley, and then in a couple hours hike up here and just enjoy this space. And nobody else is up here today. And come on! Look at this.
Oh, this is just awesome. This never gets old. This never gets old. Woo! Okay, so this is regular mode, and this is what the HDR mode looks like. I don't know what magic they're doing inside of the camera to get the HDR and being able to like move around with it and not have ghosting, but I'm not going to argue because it's awesome.
This is my sleeping setup last night, and it was decently cozy. And I know there's going to be a few people who leave comments about how I'm hiking in flip-flops, but do not worry, these are not your ordinary flip-flops. They have incredible traction and they're made for climbing. And yeah, even though I'm up here doing this, I'm still terrified of the dark and being alone in the woods specifically. So this is a little bit better for me when it's open and it's a mountaintop, but the bush beside me there just spooks me out, just spooks me right out. And I definitely had a better sleep than the time I came up here in the winter. That's for sure. But I've only been camping alone now for just over a year. So this is still very new to me. But I'm grateful for the experience because I can just come up here in an afternoon and have an incredible night. Now I'm going to make my way down over there to the parking lot somewhere. Let's get going.
On my journey home here, let's wrap up some of my first impressions from using this camera. And it's probably obvious at this point, but I think that the new active HDR mode is a definite strength. I'll probably be using this about 80% of the time going forward. The larger touchscreen made the usability of this out in the field while on an adventure a lot more straightforward. So changing settings and modes are now a lot easier, and especially being able to review your shots without the need to pull out your phone, I really appreciated that. All around, I found this camera to continue to be a really flexible tool. It's got a lot of these little improvements over the model that came before it, but it still keeps that nice form factor where it's waterproof, mountable, and just really lightweight. It's just nice and easy to take on kind of whatever adventure you want to do. While hiking, I just had the camera in my chest pocket and I'd pull it out quickly and just grab these different shots. And the included selfie stick is really small and lightweight, so it just makes a nice combo where if you're going to take it along with your larger camera setups, you don't really notice the extra weight. But if you only want to take one camera, it actually works really well for that to grab these different moments throughout the day. Now, there's this impression that 360 footage is really challenging to edit, but that's actually not the case. I'll post a full editing walkthrough on our second channel, Adventure Film Academy, but the key points here is that it's a lot easier than you may think. So in both the mobile and desktop app, it's really simple to automatically track your subject in your shot and then just export that for use in your edit. And you can also fine tune the field of view and distortion and really fine tune things if you want. But the key here is that you can just drag over your subject, it tracks it, and you're basically done. That's what I did for 90% of the shots in this edit. Now this is just brushing the surface because there's a lot of features I could dive into here. But sometimes I actually want to change shots while I'm editing my timeline. And to do that, you can simply just export the shot as a 360 version with direction lock, and then just reframe that shot however you want in your editor of choice. If you have any specific questions, I can try address them in a future video, but that's going to be it for this one. Remember, life's better when you make stuff. Peace.